He's switching out chairs.
You can't sit next to me.
Apparently I got the clown chair that has yes. Nice try.
Alright, so can you guys, we're good?
We're good.
Let's fucking do it.
Mr. President?
So we're gonna start with just a couple of questions I'm gonna ask you guys, and I imagine you guys will ramble on and take it in a whole different direction.
That's nice.
Yeah,
We judge us.
We talk long. You talk long. So do you.
So this is gonna go great. And then after about 15 minutes, I'm gonna open up to you guys to ask questions. So don't ask any stupid questions.
Penis. Very professional.
Are you guys glad you came? Like,
Yes. That was already a good question.
That's not even one of my better drawn leaders.
Are you done over there?
He's done.
Okay, cool.
His bit is over.
I'm waiting to see what he's drawing next. I have a hunch what it's gonna be. So the first thing I wanted to ask you guys is web show, shown on the web, about people playing on the web, promoted online. All you guys have pretty strong online personas. And then you come here, where it's people in real life, and some of them are dressed up like you. I imagine it's weird, but how weird is it?
I mean, it's not weird.
No, it's awesome.
The judgment thing, Eric. Passive
Sorry,
aggressive.
weirdos.
It's amazing. Like, this is a show that still is shooting in my garage. We've never paid for, like, billboards or advertising or anything. And the fact that we have this crazy, huge room, and, like, we're being cosplayed with iconic characters, you know, like, next time. I mean, Batman, and like, it's just an amazing, amazing feeling. It really makes me proud of what I do every day, which is basically do this.
Yeah, at Gen Con last year, a couple came up and they were dressed as Codex and Fox, but the girl who was dressed as Codex was like a fetish Codex. She had built her costume out of like latex rubber.
That was weird.
If by weird you mean a lot.
Are you here? Because you actually look better than this tink.
Oh wow!
That's good. It's the best.
No, I agree. Yes, I tweeted it and
Yeah.
said that she puts me to shame, but
It's
don't
not
say
true.
that. You can't say that. I could say that, but you can't.
Okay, no, you're right.
I'm very offended.
I meant her costume was a higher quality boot than we had on you.
Yes,
I agree.
She's gonna be happy to hear that.
Oh God.
Well, it was painted. It was painted purple, and after all the dancing and everything, like there's cracks in my boots already.
Yeah, but
so
initially they were organically purple. We couldn't find purple boots at the time. This is going on too long, and I'm digging a hole. All right.
Cracks in my boots is my Lady Gaga cover band.
I like how when I was like, and then you guys will just kind of ramble and take it in a different direction.
Yeah.
You're like, no, we won't.
Next question here.
All right. So my next question is for Will and Amy, which is, no offense to you guys, but you kind of play jerks on the show. Lovable jerks, good jerks.
There's nothing lovable about
I
Fox.
wouldn't say I'm lovable either.
Really? Okay, so we'll just go with jerks?
No, yeah, I would take out the lovable.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry to offend you
No,
with
it's
the
okay.
lovable part.
It's okay.
But how much say do you guys have in those? How much say do you guys have in your characters?
0. Felicia Day is a very powerful dictator. She's trying to take over the world and will not listen to what anyone else says.
It's so not true.
I'm just kidding. But I still have 0.
I was talking to Bill Pragan about Will Wheaton on The Big Bang Theory, and we were talking about like how he's justified and sort of why he does the things he does. And Brady pointed out that the villain is the hero of his own story. And when and like it seems one of those things that just seems sort of self-evident, but as an actor and as a creator, that's how one has to approach playing a villain character. So Felicia and I we spent a lot of time talking about the Codex and Fox relationship and why Fox does what he does and why she doesn't just tell him, you know, to F off. And there had to be a lot of layers to their relationship so that the audience would believe that these two people would actually like go on a date together and go on a second date together.
Well, so why does he do what he does? What's your secret motivation?
One of the things that we talked about a lot in season 4 was that Fox is just sort of, he's kind of a bully, and he kind of commands a room because nobody ever stands up to him. He's not a good leader. He's just the loudest guy in the room. And if someone were to really stand up to him in a way that he perceives to be his equal, then he's going to be really drawn to that. And he just found Codex. That's why he says, I find you intriguing. I think it's great when he finally gets his comeuppance, when his uppance comes, if you will, because I think it's a really great payoff. He's just, I think at his core, like all douchey guys like that, is just insecure and tries to paper over his insecurities with a lot of intelligent sounding stuff. And like, who wouldn't be attracted to Codex?
More insightful than my answer.
Live up to that.
I can't. It's Will Wheaton. I can't think that. Sorry.
Okay. Well, good try.
Yeah, all right. We can move on. All right. Why am I here?
Because you're pretty. No,
And smart.
and smart. Amy is really smart. We were just talking about like she gets
smart I am.
No, it's true. You have a really high GPA, which people wouldn't necessarily guess, but you're...
She like boots her up.
Sometimes Amy gets flack for being at conventions and not being like a traditional geek. Like she doesn't game as much, you know, in traditional gaming. She might play some casual stuff, and you know she's very well coordinated, which I could never aspire to. But she's a total gadget freak. So like she was in my room today watching the Apple iPad 2 keynote, and I was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I gotta watch it." So
I was having a conversation with Steve Jobs. To myself, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's what's cool about the definition of geek. It doesn't, you know, it's not exclusive. It's inclusive to anybody who's really passionate about something, and that's what carrying over into Take. Like she is kind of like that. She's definitely a gamer, but she's you know, a gadget geek as well. So.
Okay.
That was insightful too.
Yeah, that was a really good answer. You didn't have it.
Good thing they're here, right? I don't know anything.
So, talking about all the stuff that goes into these characters behind it, you still got episodes that are, what, top out at 5-6 minutes?
I think our longest episode's like 8. It was like a finale episode.
Yeah. So that's a lot of stuff to cram in, and these things feel dense. I mean, they're like, it's so hard to watch, I can't figure out everything. But there's a lot going on. Do you guys feel constrained by that format? Do you feel like you want to go beyond that format at some point? Or are you in a good spot with where it is?
I mean, it'd be interesting to explore it in different, you know, linked formats. It'd be definitely completely different. It would be different kind of stories we tell, a little bit, you know, more episodic. If we were to expand it into longer episodes. Like I just want to tell the best story in the time that we have and never bore somebody. So like when we shoot a guild script, it's like 11 pages, but we cut it down to like 7. So like it's traditionally in movies, it's a page per minute. So to me, I think the important thing on the web is to cut it so fast, because when you're watching it on a proportionally small screen, you have that proportional attention span, and you have a mouse at your, you know, you don't want somebody to click away like, oh, this is snooze fest. So like it's always like cut faster, cut faster, cut faster.
Are there plans in like the forthcoming season to, when you talk about experimenting with length and going a little longer, is that something we're going to see soon? Or
not for season 5. Season 5, I'm planning out to be similar in construction to the other ones, but we'll see after that. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'm imagining this will be a question a lot of people are curious about. What can you tell us about season 5?
The only thing I can say is that it will involve a convention of some sort. It's very fun. I'm excited because the birth of the show and the journey of the show is so tied to conventions, because basically word of mouth is how we've spread and done 4 years of this. So it's really cool to be able to draw upon that and put my characters in the convention world, because it's just so close to my heart. I just love meeting people face to face, just like our guildies met face to face, and there's some really interesting themes. So I'm still writing, so don't ask me more.
And I guess also in terms of format, it's a comic book show, so I think I'm legally obligated to mention the Guild comic, which I'm a huge fan of. It's just phenomenal. Have you guys read this? So I was going to see, I know there's a Tink comic coming out pretty
The 13th,
soon, right?
I think.
13th?
You can see a preview of the first 6 pages, and I wrote it when I was up in Vancouver filming Eureka with Will, and so yeah.
Yeah, this is me. Felicia, come on, let's go out to dinner. I can't, I have to write. God.
No fun, Felicia. That's the name. So yeah, I'm really excited about it because we use 6 different artists for the interior, and we have 2 cover artists. It was really fun to experiment with exploring the Tink character, which I didn't want to give a lot away about, and I had to fill 22 pages. And the cool thing, I found like a conceit that I think really works well, and I'm really excited for people to see it because it's kind of the most complex thing I've ever written, and I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, it turned out great. Are we going to see Fox in any of the upcoming?
In the comics are predating the season 1.
Right, but I'm talking like further down the line.
We don't have any plans to do any comics past the 5 prequel that'll lead us up to the start of season 1. So after that, I'll have to just reevaluate where the comics could go from there. But I definitely want to keep exploring the idea because I worked really hard to learn how to write comics, and I'm like, you better keep doing that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm done talking to you guys. Should we open it up to questions?
Does anybody care?
Does anybody want to ask anybody anything?
Anybody? There's a microphone in the middle.
There's 3 microphones. I learned this yesterday. There's one in each.
This guy wins the prize. This guy was, all right.
Yeah, winner! You get the penis picture.
No, you don't.
I'm sorry.
No.
Wasn't mine to offer.
No, it's not.
I can draw your penis.
Worst-looking penis I've ever seen. Hold on, he needs a hat. Sombrero, I was thinking like...
I love them.
Yeah, he's gonna put on his robe and wizard.
Robe and wizard hat.
Did he just say I put on my robe and
I do have a
hat?
question for you, Felicia, but first and foremost, I want to say, Amy Okuda, happy birthday tomorrow.
Oh, thank you.
I'm outside your house.
Exciting. We don't want fans on my birthday, so that's the first.
I forgot it was a birthday. We did a radio interview at BJ Shea, and a guy who works there gave her a birthday card. I was like, oh, it's your birthday? She was like,
I told her like 5 times before we came. We're like, oh my god, we're gonna spend my birthday weekend in Seattle together. And obviously that meant nothing.
when you talk, I just look at your pretty face.
Okay, I forgive you.
My question is, actually I had several questions, and I basically just want to sum it up in this one. Are you ever going to write a book on how to do online videos?
That's a very good question. I'm actually inspired by Will's short story that he did, The Hunter, right? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
And your penis is done. Please proceed to the front way to finish. While I'm into this, it's a good idea actually. And Will has he did a pay-as-you-go system, so it's really whatever you wanted to donate, and then you would be able to download the PDF that he put together. And I get so many requests, I just don't have enough time to help everybody, but I would really love to. And doing a traditional book doesn't seem right for online video. And so maybe the next year I'm going to put that on my to-do list to be able to do that for people. Yeah, exactly. I have a bunch of blogs I can put together, so maybe that'll help, like, jumpstart.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Come get your penis.
Thank you.
This is great. All right, let's do a question from over here.
Hi there. I think all 3 of you have a great track record of picking just amazing projects to work on. Amy, I wanted to ask, how did you get involved with, and do you have any cool stories about Tonight I'm Fracking You?
Well, I got involved in the Guild. I auditioned for it. My manager at the time sent me on an audition for a pilot. And I was like, oh cool, a TV pilot. I've never done that before. It was like my first acting audition, and they loved me, and I think they loved me. I didn't even have a call back, they just like called me, I was like, we love you, we booked you, whatever. I was like, oh cool, and then I found out it was a YouTube video, and it wasn't paid. Definitely not a TV pilot, and I was like, wow, this sucks. I had to wake up really early after my senior prom to go to this rehearsal, and I was like, for free, wow, for a YouTube video that I could do by myself. But it was like my first acting job, so I was like, oh, this is so cool, like, you know, I still get to get some experience, it's fine. But thank God I stuck with it because I would be really mad if some other Asian girl was sitting here. I have a weird, like, competition, like, rivalry with other Asian girls. No, I'm just kidding. I have to be the
guys, seriously, I built a steel cage that I just taped to the set. Just in case. Haven't been able to use it yet.
Tonight I'm pranking you. They shot silly string in my face on accident. What you see there happened on accident. They're supposed to shoot me like in the chest area. And then the producer...
By the way, that's what guys always say. It's also what guys always say.
You guys are seeing the classics.
Oh my god! Children. But anyways, yeah, they accidentally shot me in my face and they wanted to use that take, so I said fine. Yeah. I said that really fast, so Will can't say anything inappropriate in between.
Yeah, let's stop it. I'm sure we'll say.
Next.
All right.
Yeah, I am a huge fan of the Guild, but this question is mostly from Felicia Day. I am also a huge fan of Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. And I heard fairly recently that there's going to be a sequel. Do you know anything about that?
There's always fairly recently I heard about a sequel. I'm sorry. I mean, it's just, it's literally a question I've heard for 2 years now. And I know, the only thing I can say is that I know that the intention has always been there to create, you know, more things in that world. It's just, you know, okay, Joss Wheaton is doing this thing called the Avengers. And dare he do the biggest movie in existence, okay? So he really needs to get back on it. No, I think he's kind of busy with that thing. And I'm sure, I can only cross fingers that when he's finished with that he doesn't, you know,
he will be doing the sequel.
So incredibly successful that he could get to do 5 or 6 more, which would be awesome. And he can fit in Dr. Horrible in between that kind of stuff. But I know that they have stories, they even have a title. I mean, so it was, you know, it's very much in development in their heads. It's just, I don't know what else to say. I'm going to say the same thing I've said for 2 years.
But she wouldn't.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back to the middle.
I think it's still find a way to work it.
Okay.
Oh, hi. I have 2 questions. One's serious, one's really silly. First is, what are your thoughts on the representation of girl gamers in the gaming community? Do you feel like we're being treated equally? And second, if you could have if you could sleep with or have a kinky relationship with any comic book character, who would it be?
I'm assuming that's the serious one. And that invalidates the first one.
Will is deep in thought.
That one. It would be Dick Grayson, Nightwing. Nice. Why is he guy so hot? He's hot. I don't know why he's hot, but there's something hot. You know, Bruce is not hot, and then Dick is hot. Ooh. It's a little humble. I'm gonna breeze by. It's because he's humble, and like I'm just obsessed with the Batman Robin.
He's vlogging. Twitter.
And,
he's tweeting.
You know, I think there's a lot of, I'm going to keep going, stop it. There's been a lot of stuff about girl gamers lately online, and kind of like fights and like some really condescending remarks from the more hardcore people, and like I got involved in a fracas that I want to talk about on a certain, you know, hardcore site. And like, I found that entering that discussion and trying to be like self-righteous about it and preachy about it doesn't convince anybody that things need to change. My whole theory about girl gamers and girl geeks in general is that if you lead by example and just become the geek that you want to be as a woman and just exist, you're leading by example and you're breaking the stereotypes by doing it by example versus by preaching. And I think that that's a lot more effective because we're all just people. So that's what I would encourage people to do. And of course, if somebody does something really offensive, you call them out. Like, I personally find that offensive. But like, I just think the whole theoretical talking about it is not as effective as just doing your own thing, and just that will open the path for other geeks to come. What did you tweet?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Somebody look it up.
Catwoman. I was trying to decide if it was going to be Catwoman or Silk Spectre, and I ended up choosing Catwoman. But I actually have a thing to say to guys who play video games. Like, when a woman joins the game, like, don't be a dick. About this. Like, this is gonna be one of those things, right? Where it's like, I have an existential dilemma. Oh, there's an XKCD about that. This thing happens to me and all my nerd friends. There's an XKCD about that. The idea that you know, like, I don't care how old you are. Dudes have to stop acting like they're 12 years old when they game with women. And it's something that, like, we in the gamer community sort of try to pretend doesn't exist. And dudes like come up with like, so, oh, we're just joking and that sort of thing. And the thing is, like, it sucks. And it really can be just combated by committing to not being a dick when you play games.
Okay.
No, I like what you said. It would have just nullified my whole argument. So you did your thing, I did my thing. It kind of works together.
Okay, we'll talk about it in the car.
Should we solve for that problem?
Yeah. My arms hurt.
Yeah.
My arms hurt.
Oh.
Ryan Reynolds, Green Lantern.
Okay,
No, how about the real Green Lantern? Sorry, reflexive nerd response, my bad, apologize.
What they need to do is they need to go and get a Glee comic where Corey, what's his face?
Is Corey Monteith is like my celebrity crush.
I hate it when you do that. You always do, oh, Corey.
But Ryan Reynolds is good too because he's Canadian and Corey's Canadian, so I love Canadians. That's my answer. Why are you shaking your head?
I don't have time to explain it.
I'm going to counter this out by, yeah, Ryan Reynolds would be mine. Let's go over here.
This question's for Will. The utility kilt you wore in...
It was actually a sport kilt, is what I wore in, I wear a utility kilt in my private life. But Fox wears a sport kilt.
Just want to get your take on being a kiltarian.
I actually love wearing a kilt. And I wear my kilt as often as I can. I wear them to formal events. I usually wear them to cons. I just didn't bring them to this particular con because I'm only here for a day and a half, and they're heavy, and I didn't have room in my bag. My wife is super not down with me wearing a kilt. And it's one of those things where she really just tolerates it. But she doesn't suffer in silence like a 1950s housewife. She's more of like a 1970s empowered wife, and just walks behind me pointing out that, oh, my husband is the one wearing the skirt. But I love them. I think they're great.
Let's go over here.
Hi, I was wondering what's the experience like on set for you guys?
I feed people a lot of food. I have a problem. I have a real problem with it. On Dragon Age, Kim and I, my producer, thank you, excited about that. We ordered a coffee truck every day.
And thanks for doing that on the Guild.
Wow. But that was so many more favors. I don't want to talk about it. We can eat
Yeah, Dragon Age is the Guild's Deep Space Nine.
What'd you say?
I said that Dragon Age is the Guild's Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine started up, suddenly the Next Generation budget for everything just was gone. We're like, what? I hate the new baby.
I mean, obviously, we don't get coffee.
I always actually send somebody out to get you a latte in the morning. You don't remember that? Or are you just...
Amy's usually drunk in the mornings.
I'm not the drinker of the guild.
She's not the drinker.
I'm not the drinker.
I can tell you something that's really great about working on the guild that really sets it apart from a lot of the other things that we do. We had, when we shot the episode of The Date That's Not a Date, when we were upstairs in room 5, we were rehearsing the bulk of the thing, and something just didn't feel right. And there were a couple of lines that we both really liked, but it just wasn't working. And one of the wonderful things about the Guild is that we don't have a network to answer to. We don't have a huge chain of producers that we have to go through to get changes approved. And we just sat there as actors and writers, and we worked on this, and then we asked Sean to come in and look at the changes that we had that we thought would work. We asked Kim to look at the changes that we thought would work, and we ended up making the scene tighter. We ended up making the relationship more clear, and it was more fun for the two of us to do this. And one of the great advantages of a show like this is that it's just us. And we're really lucky to work with incredibly talented, incredibly focused, dedicated people working really hard for nothing just to make a great show. And we were able to pull all of this together in like, what, maybe 45 minutes, I think?
Yeah. No, I'm never like satisfied if something's not working as a writer. I mean, I do it on everything, you know. At the end of the day, the buck stops here. So other than, you know, as opposed to the things that I do that are not, you know, me creating it and producing it and writing it, you know, I do have the responsibility to at least make it as good as I personally can make it. And then I know that I did everything I could, because honestly, making a film is very, very difficult. Like, even on the Guild, there's like upwards to 100 people working on every episode if you add everybody up in pre-production and post-production and production. So, you know, just to coordinate that many people, so many elements, so many things can go wrong every single day, and that's why things sometimes don't turn out as well as you think they would. And the cool thing about the Guild is that everybody's in it to make it as great as possible, and we don't have somebody giving us notes that aren't maybe for the best benefit of the show. So at the end, the buck stops here. So if you don't like a line, I liked it. So.
And Jeff Lewis is one of the funniest people on the planet.
Yes.
And getting to work in scenes with him is really, it's a gift. Because he is constantly coming up with new stuff. And it's really, really fun to work with.
How often does that sort of, when you're talking about like doing this on-spot rewriting and kind of figuring stuff out as you go, how often does that sort of stuff and ad-libbing happen on set when you're shooting?
I mean, not often. Like, we did a little bit more of it for the Fox Codex relationships because it was a little like, I said Cox. I heard the giggle.
Nice, 12-year-old giggle.
Yeah. And so that was a little bit. That was a little harder I did change that a lot just as we worked together with the actors to humanize him and make it believable, and it really was a nice process. But for the rest of it, I would say that 90% of the time it's completely scripted, and then especially Sandeep and Jeff will come in and you know, add some really funny lines and punch up and do some alt stuff. So.
I think we're in the middle. First of all, Felicia, I love your hair. And Amy's cardigan, awesome.
Oh, thank you.
But so first I want to thank you guys. All of it is divine.
Okay.
Big mistake, man.
No question for you.
Asian American female character without tokenizing or stereotyping. Ooh, I'm gonna knock this mic over. But I was wondering, Amy, like as an Asian American woman trying out in the film industry, working really hard, are there any specific challenges that you have to face that you think other actresses of other racial demographics have had to? And at the same time, are there any like cultural values or things that, you know, about being an Asian American that you think help you?
There's less of us. I'm not a blonde white girl, and there's a lot of them in the industry, I feel like. So I feel like when they specifically want an Asian girl, I feel like I have, you know, a pretty good chance because, you know, there's a lot more than you think, but, you know, there's 3 of us that are very specific, so I think that's a good thing. I don't want to be like everybody else, so I think it's good to be a little Asian girl, I don't know.
What about the roles that you auditioned for? Like,
well, You know, I haven't really had like very stereotypical things that like made me roll my eyes or anything, but sometimes there's the description on the breakdown would be like, Asian or Pacific Islander or something. There was literally a description.
Hey, I'm something. I'm totally going
There was
on
literally
that.
a description that said Asian, Pacific Islander or something.
Just whatever.
Wow, I was like, that was the one time where I was like, wow, this is retarded. But you know, other than that, I like being different, and I like being a very specific type of girl, so it's good. And I think there's a lot more Asians coming out in this world, so hopefully that's a good thing for me. The end, okay.
Hi, I have two questions, one gaming, one acting. Gaming question is mostly for the ladies, but Will, if you also play as a girl online, it could be for you.
He blushed.
I know he did.
Busted.
Playing, I don't know, World of Warcraft or whatever you're into, and your character's female, and then you get the weird whisper, "Are you a real girl?" How do you handle it? Because I feel like I've handled it like 20 different ways and they never seem to work.
I mean, I would say, let's just follow the thread of this conversation. Like, is the net benefit going to be you guys are going to be in BFFs? Probably not. Probably not if that's going to be their first impulse, or you can just lecture them, which I don't think works. I would just say probably ignore them. That's what I would do.
I was just curious, kind of funny. Like,
if I don't funny.
Like you get like a good one that you're like, a real girl, that's what the robot master said.
I was pre-op. I don't know.
Bam. Since you, Felicia, have played Buffy and the Dollhouse, and you've done so many, we'll go with geek-specific and kind of subculture acting jobs, do you feel like that puts a barrier for you going out for the mainstream roles that will not have a geek following? Are you afraid that your acting options are limited, or do you just love embracing your geek so much you don't care?
Oh no, I mean I made a decision last year, I'm too busy doing my own thing. I told my agent this year for pilot season I don't want to audition for anything that's not science fiction or fantasy. I think...
Good decision.
I haven't gotten any auditions this pilot fiction, so I don't know what that means. But yeah, as far as, the half-hour stuff is really fun. I feel like I'm so happy what I'm doing, and the things that I want to create online. We're going to branch out and maybe do some comedy stuff, but my time is so limited. It's got to be something that I know that the people who like what I do will super enjoy, and not that you guys wouldn't enjoy just a straight comedy role, but I mean, part of it is my life and the kind of roles that I want to have fun with. And the cool thing is, for Eureka, they wrote that part for me. Emmy Berg and Jamie Pollia, the showrunner, saw what I did online and created a geeky sort of science girl who can be funny and dramatic at the same time in Eureka. And I'm so blessed with that. And having that experience and doing a role that I feel like, oh, I pick it up and it's like a gift. I don't understand why I would go out for things that I don't pick up and say, hey, this would be a gift to play. Even if I don't get it, as an artist, you have to be very specific about what you do, because if you start betraying yourself and trying to be everything to everybody and begging as an actor, that's when you just lose your compass. And it took so long to find my compass that I'm like, I want to keep my compass. So that's why, I'm just a lot more selective about what I can do with my time, and I just want, cool things that I can share with people who like what I do.
Well, first off, I'd just like to say that I love the Guild. I've seen every episode multiple times. It's a great thing to watch between raids and instead of doing homework. But my question is for Felicia. You come off as a pretty nice person.
This is going to go
careful.
Easy. It's really two questions. Why are you so mean to Jace Hall? And are you like that to all your rivals?
Jace Hall, that's scripted. It's scripted. It's a little bit scripted. Although that guy's kind of a D-bag. So, I mean, he's a really tall guy, and he's cool, and he has have a fancy car kind of guy.
And I mean, it's really fun. We have a really good rapport, kind of like these two. Now, like seeing them interact on the stage, I'm like, wow, they need to have a scene together. So it's cool to have. Look at I mean, basically, conflict is fun. Like when you have good conflict as a writer or an actor, it's like you know exactly where to go and you can play off each other and you can escalate it. So I don't know about rivals, but meow. I don't know. What do you want me to say?